Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. And today we are kicking off the year with my top 5 foundation recommendations for mature skin. I think it's really important to start this video by saying that makeup is really subjective, it's really personal. So what works for me won't necessarily work for you. However, I'm going to start this video by telling you really briefly a little bit about my skin type and what my preferences are, just so that you can see whether your preferences and your skin type marry in any way with mine. Because if yours are the complete opposite, you're probably not going to like any of these recommendations. So first of all, a little bit about my skin type. So I'm 41 years old, which means I have mature skin. I have everything that goes with being more mature, so fine lines and wrinkles. As I've got older, my skin has become more dehydrated, but in general, my skin is normal to dry. And my preferences in foundation have changed over the years. So once upon a time, I used to be reaching for the full coverage matte foundations. Now I prefer a light to medium foundation, and instead of matte, I want luminosity. And I'm not necessarily saying dewy. I mean, I do love dewy, but glowy, radiant, beaming. I want the lip from within. So I don't want a foundation that sits into my fine lines, my wrinkles. I also have textured areas around my face, around my chin, my nose. I have enlarged pores, so foundation does not want to be sitting into those areas. And obviously, I want a foundation to last. I need it to last at least 8 hours. 8 to 12 hours would be perfect. I don't really wear foundation for any longer than that. And I do need a foundation to be buildable. So some days I do want just a light coverage, but there are those days when I need a little bit more. So it needs to have that buildability to it. Before we roll into my recommendations, think about how does your skin type fit with mine? How do your preferences sit with mine? Because if you love full coverage and matte foundation, you're gonna hate these. So just think about that before you run out and purchase any of these. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I would really love you to consider doing so, because I do post videos like this on a weekly basis. And obviously I would love to have you here. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so these are my top 5 foundations, and honestly, they're not really in any particular order. But if you were to force me, if you were to bend my arm, I would choose one as a favorite. So I will leave that till the end. But these foundations I kind of use on a rotation. So some of them give a little bit more coverage than others. Some are just perfect everyday foundations. Okay, so I'm going to show you footage of me applying each foundation because I think that's kind of helpful. And I've not got anything else on my face in these videos, no concealer, nothing, only Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, which is what I generally use to prep every day. Now I will be coming out with a video in regards to skin prep before foundation, because honestly, you can have the most perfect foundation on the planet. It can be perfection, but if your skin hasn't been prepped before the foundation is not going to give you its best performance. So I will put out a video in the next couple of weeks on skin prep, so keep an eye out for that. But today we'll just focus on the pure foundations. No particular order really, but we will start with the most affordable of the 5, and that is the wonderful L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation. I love this. This is my all-time favorite drugstore foundation. So as I'm applying this foundation, I'll tell you a little bit about it. So this foundation comes in 48 shades, and if I'm not mistaken, it's been recently reformulated, and it has a new skin matching technology, which basically is designed to adapt to your skin tone, which is just amazing. It is enriched with hyaluronic acid and provides up to 24 hours of hydration. It is a super blendable foundation, and it gives you a natural looking true to skin coverage. And I would agree with all those things. There's no fragrance to this. I have the L'Oreal in the shade 3N, which is a neutral foundation. I wasn't massively worried when I was choosing a shade for this because of the skin matching technology. If you struggle with finding your perfect match of foundation, this would be an amazing option for you. It does have that technology where it matches to your own skin tone. I don't know what sorcery that is, but it's amazing. I remember I'm pretty sure about 20 years ago, I had a foundation. I don't know whether it was Lancome, and it had a skin matching technology. And I just thought it was amazing. And I can't really understand why more of that isn't in existence. Why is that? This is, for me, one of my absolute favorite everyday foundations. It does what it says on the tin. It's so blendable. The formula, the consistency of it is really, really fluid. So it just blends like a dream, and it just gives you a beautiful natural finish, good coverage, evens out the skin tone, hides redness, hides blemishes, but does not look cakey at all. I would say that it does powder down a little bit. So it goes on nice and luminous and dewy, but it definitely does powder down a touch. I have seen the L'Oreal True Match with an SPF. This does not have an SPF. So I'm wondering, is there an SPF option and a non-SPF option? I don't know. I was a little bit confused by that. Just think it's a fabulous one, especially for mature skin, because it is so blendable and because it doesn't emphasize texture and lines. It's just a perfect everyday foundation. Definitely one of my top recommendations from the drugstore. And let me tell you something about this foundation. It's supposed to be a dupe for this, which is the Armani Luminous Silk. Yes, the foundation that everybody in the world adores, loves. Holy grail for so many. Not me though. No, this foundation hates me. I don't know why. I have tried for years to love this foundation. So I bought it years ago and hated it. I bought it again 2 years ago, I think it was, or last year. And again, it still hates me. So it sits into all of my pores and emphasizes pores that I didn't actually know I had. It emphasizes my texture. It's just so not flattering on me. And yeah, it makes me sad because everybody loves it. So this is supposed to be a dupe for this. This for me, any day of the week. It's so much better than this in my opinion, but please don't come at me if you love the Armani Luminous Silk. I understand it's a holy grail for so many. And if it is a holy grail for you, I'm jealous because I wanted this to work so well. Any Armani fans out there? For years, I used to wear a foundation called Armani Lasting Silk. That was the best. Oh my goodness. That used to be my holy grail, but don't know where it went. It disappeared. So anyway, if you're looking for a dupe, the L'Oreal True Match, give it a whirl. All right, number 2. I spoke about this in my latest video, and it's the Glossier Stretch Fluid Foundation. So it comes in 32 shades. I have this in the shade medium 1, which is not my winter shade, but it still works really, really well. I don't think you can massively notice that it's not suiting my skin tone at the moment. And it is infused with 89% skincare-based ingredients. It is a gel to cream foundation that leaves your skin looking moisturized with a natural to you finish. It's formulated to never cake and wear up to 12 hours. And it claims to be crease resistant, transfer resistant, and sweat resistant. Okay, so the first thing to note about this foundation is that it does have fragrance, and it is quite strong. I didn't notice it at first. I don't know how, but when I picked it back up, it definitely has a fragrance to it. It's not overpowering in my opinion, but I'm not very sensitive to fragrance. But if you are, you're gonna wanna give this a miss. The gel-like formula is really, really unique. The formulation of the foundation is quite thick, which isn't something that I would normally like. I like a runny, fluid foundation. This is quite thick, so you would think that it would give you quite full coverage, but it's not like that at all. I think out of all of the foundations that I'm showing you today, it's the one that emphasizes texture at the very least, because let's be honest, no foundation is flawless. If you've got texture, foundation is going to emphasize that a touch. These 5 foundations do it the least amount of everything that I own. Feels like it's formulated to give hydration and to give a smoothness and a plumpness to the skin, and it's really beautiful. And the main thing that I love about this foundation is it just looks so luminous on the skin. It doesn't dry down, it stays looking really luminous but not sweaty or super dewy. It just looks really, really healthy. I hope they reformulate it without the fragrance. I just think it's really, really suitable for mature skin because it doesn't cake and because it doesn't sit into those lines. However, I do have relatively normal skin. I have seen reviews where people have tried this with oilier skin and haven't loved it as much. So it's definitely something to bear in mind when you were deciding whether to invest. Okay, next up we have the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. So this foundation comes in 51 shades and it's infused with 20 plus skincare ingredients, including their patent pending fermented arnica. It has a medium buildable coverage. It brightens and evens the skin tone. It has long wear performance and it's suitable for all skin types. When I first got this, I did not have this off my face, honestly. So it's fragrance free and would agree with all of the claims. It's super long wearing, it's super buildable. This is actually one of the foundations that I reach for when I want a little bit more coverage and I need longevity. Given the consistency of this foundation, I was actually surprised at how much coverage it gives. It definitely gives you more coverage than, say, the L'Oreal True Match. It definitely covers any redness that I have, any blemishes, and it absolutely doesn't sit into any of my lines or texture. I find that with this foundation, a little bit goes a long way. I actually find that after using one pump, half a pump will actually cover my whole face. I think a lot of us fall into this trap where we think the more products we put on our face, the better we're going to look. But foundation isn't about that. It's about managing the concerns that we have without getting cakey. And I think that people might run into trouble with this foundation when they just use too much of it. When I first got this, I got this from America, so I had to choose my shade online, which I did find tricky, but I did find their online matcher on the Haus Labs website really good. It got my shade to a T. So this shade is 210 light medium neutral. I find this foundation super blurring. I find it quite filtered. It doesn't really powder down, but it just gives a nice filtered look to the skin. This is the foundation that I reach for if I'm going on a night out, if I'm going out for something to eat, because it will not let me down and it will not budge. It will last for hours and hours and hours. It's fantastic. Okay, next up we have the Hourglass. This is the Hourglass Ambient Soft Glow Foundation. This foundation comes in 32 shades. It claims to blur imperfections, minimizes the look of pores, fine lines and wrinkles, gives 16-hour wear, and gives a natural soft glow finish. It's vegan and cruelty-free and fragrance-free. Now this claims to have blurring spheres, which minimizes the look of imperfections, fine lines, wrinkles, and provides a natural soft glow. And let me tell you, that is some sorcery right there. First of all, I want to address the shades. I didn't run out and purchase this foundation straight away because I'd heard so much negativity about the shades online, and it's with good reason. You know, the pictures that they show for the shades online is not accurate at all, at all. So thank God for YouTube that I could Google people that I thought that had a similar skin tone to me. But anyway, I have this in the shade 7.5, which I think matches me really well. It's a neutral foundation. Now, I have olive tone skin, but I have kind of muted warm undertones, which means I can get away with neutral foundations most of the time. But another reason that I didn't run out and pick this up straight away, I found the reviews really mixed online. So some people were saying that it's a really heavy foundation, that it actually dries down matte. And you know, when I see the word matte, I'm out of there. Anyway, it was on offer and I think I got it like 20% off. Obviously, I never pay full price for anything. So I got it 20% off and I'm totally in love with this foundation. The blurring spheres that it has, I would completely agree with. The glow that it gives, it's got there's some sort of particles in this foundation that reflect the light, that just look beautiful. Obviously, it's not glittery, there's nothing like that. It's just some strangely special formula that they have going on that just makes a foundation true perfection. It literally does give you what it says, a soft glow. It really is the lit from within. It's the foundation that I have on today. It has amazing staying power and it just looks flawless on the skin. It's so flattering, it's so blurring. For mature skin, I think this is wonderful. If you can get a sample of this, try it out, because I know that the shades are a little bit of a nightmare. So take your time, because it's an expensive foundation, probably the most expensive actually of the 5. Yes, it is. It's the most expensive of the 5 foundations, but it's worth every single penny. It really is the most stunning and unique formula that I've ever seen in a foundation. It's gorgeous. Now, last but most definitely not least, if I had to pick a foundation to use every day for the rest of my days, it would be this, and it's the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. This is just everything I need and want in a foundation, full stop. So this is an advanced makeup skincare hybrid foundation with medium buildable coverage and a natural finish. It comes in 36 shades. It is breathable, gives you all day wear. It is suitable for most skin types, including sensitive skin, and it is a vegan formula. And it also claims to improve the appearance of skin clarity over time. Now, I can't really comment on that because I use different foundations every day, but I can tell you that this foundation is heaven. I feel like if you have skin in any way similar to me, so maturing skin, aging skin, you're seeing those first signs of lines and wrinkles, I think you would really love this foundation. So I have this in the shade Patagonia, which again is a neutral foundation. It is the definition of a luminous foundation. However, it does dry down a little bit. It does powder down a little bit. It's actually not too dissimilar to the L'Oreal True Match. It definitely goes on quite dewy, but it definitely does powder down, but not horrifically, because if it did, I wouldn't be going anywhere near it. It just powders down really nicely so that I actually don't have to use powder, but it still looks really luminous and radiant. There's no settling into any lines, no emphasizing of texture, and I can build this up as much as I want to. It really does have a skincare kind of feel to it, which I know is the aim of it. But there's a lot of that banded about these days, skincare in this, skincare in that. But I feel like with a lot of these foundations that I'm talking to you about today, you can actually feel those benefits. Just find with this, it melts into the skin. And for me, this really is my absolute holy grail every single day foundation. Takes no effort to blend at all. 2 seconds and you're done. It's just everything I need and more in a foundation. And if they ever took it away from me, I don't know what I would do. But honestly, with any of these foundations, I don't think you can go wrong. They're all light to medium. They're all very buildable. They all last well. They're all very luminous without being greasy or sweaty. They are just really stunning foundations. And yes, they are all similar. They all give a similar finish, but that's because that's my preference. I feel like foundation is a really tricky one to get right. Your complexion is tricky. And how we apply the foundation also, I always use a brush to apply my foundations. That's just my preference. I find that sponges just soak it up a little bit too much for me. And the disclaimer, not all of these foundations will work for everybody. Really take time to look at what your skin type is. Do you have dry, oily combination, acne prone skin? Are you looking for more full coverage? Really think about what marries up with your skin type and your preferences before you run out and buy anything, because foundations are not cheap. If a foundation's not working for you, like with the Armani with me, don't force it. There's a reason for that, just not compatible. There's plenty of foundations out there to choose from. Probably too many, actually. Okay, guys, keep an eye out for my skin prep before foundation video, which should be out in the next few weeks. Thank you for joining me for this video. I so appreciate you being here with me. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next one. But until then, take care and bye for now.